captain of a starship for 12 minutes. He saved 800 lives, including yours. I dare you to do better. Enlist in Starfleet.
Velkommen til årets allerførste Filmz TV. Her i år 2011's første udsendelse har vi valgt at spole tiden en smule tilbage. Det blev til i alt 41 udgaver af Filmz TV sidste år, men det var faktisk helt tilbage i maj 2009, at ideen om at lave et ugentligt videomagasin opstod, efter at vi havde lavet vores allerførste videoindslag. Som det eneste medie herhjemme i Danmark, var vi blevet inviteret til Star Trek pressejunket i Paris, hvor vi mødte filmens cast og instruktøren J.J. Abrams. Udsendelsen blev på sin vis startskud til Filmz TV, og derfor har vi valgt at producere en forlænget udgave af vores allerførste videoindslag. Interviewene er blevet tekstet for allerførste gang, og så bringer vi også en række helt nye klip fra dem. Hør blandt andet Zoë Saldana tale om sit møde med Nichelle Nichols, og J.J. Abrams diskuterer, hvordan han rappede på filmsættet. Og vi lægger ud med vores interview med den travle J.J. Abrams, som altid synes at have talløse jern i ilden på samme tid.
We've established that you have so much stuff going on. I mean, how on earth do you find time to do what you do?
Sometimes not very well, but we do the best we can. I work with great people who are obviously very talented, and I just feel lucky to know them and work with them. And sometimes I feel like, oh my God, that would be so much better in my mind if that was the only thing I was doing. You know, I could do that better. And that's frustrating, and that happens sometimes. But usually, I feel like things are working out. We prioritize the different projects, and so we're, you know, you can't be in two places at once, but you can get things working, work with great people, and have them go. And you know, so far so good.
Hasn't it been tough, you know, going into the business as a movie director? It's been kind of a baptism by fire, hasn't it? Because it's been two huge movies, huge blockbusters with huge expectations.
Yeah.
Wasn't that tough?
Yeah, look, I mean, I guess on the one hand it was a challenge, but I still to this day cannot believe that Tom Cruise asked me to direct Mission Impossible 3. I still cannot believe we did that, because it just feels like there are so many other people who are far more capable and experienced than I was at the time, and still I'm learning. I mean, Star Trek is just my second film. I was very aware doing Star Trek that I had this amazing opportunity to learn from whatever mistakes I made on Mission Impossible and try and, you know, do better. And so, you know, I wouldn't trade what I got to do on these two movies for anything. They were both surreal and spectacular experiences with, you know, great casts and great crews. And so you know, the stakes were high, and it was stressful, but maybe the most fun anyone could ever have working.
Mm.
Hi, I'd like a Clabnin Fire Tea, 3 Budweiser Classics, 2 Cardassian Sunrises, and
Gotta try the slush it's good.
The slush mix, thank you.
There's a lot of drinks for one woman.
And a shot of Jack, straight up.
Make that 2 shots on me.
Her shot's on her. Thanks, but no thanks.
You at least want to know my name before you completely reject me?
I'm fine without it.
You are fine without it. It's Jim Kirk. If you don't tell me your name, I'm gonna have to make one up.
It's Uhura.
Uhura? No way. That's the name I was gonna make up for you. Uhura what?
Just Uhura.
They don't have last names in your world?
Uhura is my last name.
Well, they don't have first names in your world?
Excuse me, buddy.
So, you're a cadet, you're studying, what's your focus?
Xenolinguistics. You have no idea what that means.
Study of alien languages, morphology, phonology, syntax. Means you've got a talented tongue.
How many languages do you speak in real life?
Me, myself,
Yeah.
I speak fluent Spanish and English, and I can get by with French, but I'm much better with Italian and Portuguese.
Okay, cool. Has anybody mentioned the terminal yet on this press tour? Because I remember that you're a Trekkie, and that's like in the cars, right? Or
I do have to say that the very funny story that when we were shooting on the set, Steven Spielberg came in because he's very good friends. He's been friends with JJ for years, and actually one of his most amazing mentors to JJ. And I saw him and I said hello, and immediately he turned around to JJ and goes, "See, do you remember in Terminal? She was a Trekkie. see, I prepared her for you. And JJ was like, oh yeah, there you go, taking all the credit all the time. But in a way, things are sometimes meant to be, because I was aware of the series. I never watched it. My mother is a Trekkie, just a passionate admirer of Star Trek. But it wasn't until I did The Terminal that I sort of like dove a little into it. And Steven kind of kept showing me how to do the hands and everything. I'm like, Steven, is it like this? And he's like, no, it's like this.
Is he a fan?
Yeah.
You shouldn't tell George, I guess. So.
Yeah.
Do you think miniskirts will still be in fashion 300 years from now? Or,
What? Of course. I mean, they were in style, what, 50 years ago, 40 years ago? And look at now, and they're gonna they might even start getting shorter. I don't know how, but...
Can you talk about meeting Nichelle Nichols? How was that experience?
It was wonderful. I remember I had done my research like on my own and having conversations with JJ and working just like from what the script, you know, was telling me. I didn't want to watch the series. I was afraid of imitating Nichelle's performance, and because as actors we have that, we're prone to imitation, and I met her, and it was only after I met her that I realized that she was the final piece of my puzzle to complete the creation of like my interpretation of Uhura. She is just such an elegant and stoic woman and so graceful, and I'm like, that's exactly the Uhura that I was picturing. And her only advice was to run with it, was to be free, and she was very motherly and very amazing.
Cool. Where would you want your characters to go from here if there are any sequels?
I definitely want her to kick some butt. I'm a very physical person, you know. I was an athlete for so many years, and I'm drawn to characters that are physically driven, especially for women. I feel like it's so empowering, and it's very sexy when women kind of like, you know, can like handle a gun and kick, and I did a film for James Cameron called Avatar, and that one's coming out in December, but I trained for 7 months for this film, so I literally went from Avatar straight to Star Trek. And I remember I kept having this anxiety because I was training and kicking butt and we shot the Avatar for 1.5 years. And I remember that JJ was just like, this is gonna be your vacation role. Just relax and just makeup and hair and little dresses and just translate. I'm like, oh, all right. But he did say that if we do a sequel, Uhura is definitely gonna be more active, and I'm very happy.
Cool.
I think it's pretty early on and premature to talk about sequels. I think we're really excited about this film and the story that we told in this, and I think this construct that JJ and the team has used to create this new version of Trek kind of gives us a lot of liberty to explore many different directions that I think maybe fans will be surprised by, and I think there's a myriad possibilities for it.
Who are you?
I'm with
He's
him.
with me.
We are traveling at warp speed. How did you manage to beam aboard this ship?
Hey, you're the genius, you figure it out.
As acting captain of this vessel, I order you to answer the question.
Well, I'm not...
Can you relate to the characters, both of you?
Absolutely.
I can definitely relate to my character.
Yeah, I think the Kirk that you see in the beginning of the film, which is completely different than the character that I think you find at the end, maybe not completely, but certainly different, he has a lot of that rage and insecurity and indecision that I think, racks the brains of many a young person about what are they going to do with their life, and should they, take on challenges head on, or should they, retreat into the shadows and play it safe. But I think the message that Kirk brings is a wonderful one, and I think it's something that, to strive for, which is, you face the challenge head on, and even if you get hit back and knocked to the ground, you get up again and you face it again. And I think there's something to be said for that kind of, there's a courage in that that's not heroic by any stretch of the imagination. I think it makes him very human.
I remember reading about you saying that you could relate to the duality of Spock as well.
Definitely,
yeah. How so?
Because I possess both aspects of the character in my own life. I understand what it is to have visceral and emotional reactions to things and people and situations, and I understand what it is to be analytical and intellectual about things too. It's a duality. I'm a Gemini, so there's definitely two sides of me.
Cool. Explain how it felt to walk onto the bridge that first time.
Well, it was interesting because the bridge was a process, and we were shooting other sequences in the film as they were building it on a soundstage, so we would sort of drop in and see it come together. But I think all of us felt pretty humbled and pretty awestruck by Scott Chandless, the production designer's capacity to evolve the bridge of the Enterprise from what people knew it to be 40 years ago into something that is certainly really reverberant of that, but also very independent and unique.
Look at this ship. Are you familiar with this craft?
Who's your commander? Is it him?
I will speak for Captain Nero.
Then ask Captain Nero, what gives him the right to attack a Federation vessel?
Depending on your definition of Chopper, you haven't really played a villain before. How come?
Yeah, well, I guess I never really identify with characters as heroes and villains, actually. I just identify with them as them being interesting or not. So it hasn't been a conscious thing to not play a villain or to play a hero. I mean, it's never part of my decision-making process, so there's no real rhyme or reason to it. But I do know that the reason I did this one is just because I thought the script was very smart and very entertaining.
But subconsciously, don't you think you've been gearing up for this movie? Because, I mean, you played Romulus in a movie a couple years ago, now you did a movie about time traveling. Is there something at work there, maybe?
Not consciously, no, it's funny because I did a little Australian film called Romulus, My Father, that's right, and actually at the time there were a couple of Trekkies who thought that we were trying to make a very cheap Romulan movie, and they got very, very, very upset. There's no connection, obviously.
Okay. Did you have a moment during shooting, like when you were wrestling with Kirk, perhaps you were thinking, oh my God, I'm wrestling with one of the most iconic characters of all time. I'm part of this whole franchise now.
Yeah, it's funny. So I often don't have that moment when I'm filming. You know, I'm usually so engrossed in what I'm doing that I try not to think of the bigger picture. So for me, it's usually not until I watch the movie, and I saw it last week for the first time, and I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, there's Leonard Nimoy, and there's me. That is too bizarre, you know. So you do have those occasional out-of-body experiences, most definitely, yeah.
How was the reaction?
In Australia, it was over the top. I've been to so many screenings at home, obviously, because I live there, and we're usually a very reserved audience. So to see a standing ovation at the Sydney Opera House was, it was the most exciting screening I've been to for anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you speak Romulan? Any
no,
words you
I can't
do?
speak Romulan.
Okay, I should have brought my dictionary. But I know that you're a fan, but you're not a huge Trekkie. But is there any moment in the movies or the series that's had any impact on you especially?
Yeah, well, the movies I wasn't into. The TV show I was very familiar with because it was very popular when I was a kid. So the overriding thing for me was just, you know, the strength of those characters and Kirk and Spock. And the you know, universal nature of the crew of the Starship Enterprise. You know, to me that was always like the United Nations. And I think that's why it survived, and I think that's why it was so iconic. It was always character driven, was never really action driven. I don't remember much action from the TV show, I just remember it all being about the relationships.
Do you have a positive outlook yourself on the 23rd century? You think we can get there where Star Trek is?
I try not to look too far into the future. Try and live in the moment, maybe look towards next week and then beyond next week. Hey, whatever happens.
I noticed that there's some shots in the trailers that's not in the final movie.
Yeah.
Like with the Klingons and stuff?
Yeah, there was a whole sequence of Nero breaking out of prison, which is not in the final version of the film, but I'm sure it'll be something to look forward to in the DVD.
Or are you afraid, or aren't you?
I will not allow you to lecture me.
Then why do you stop me?
Prepare to fire all weapons. I like this ship.
It's exciting.
Space is disease and danger, wrapped in darkness and silence. Buckle up.
The wait is over.
starting this off in a bit of an unorthodox way, because I know you've been traveling around the world and hearing so many different questions. And I just read an article today in the latest Empire that said that you like to rap your instructions to the actors on set. So I thought it's high time that J.J. Abrams gets his own rap. You know, for all the hard work you've done and put through.
Thank you. That is very nice of you.
So bear with me. I've written this little piece. I don't have a beatbox. So I'm just gonna sing this.
Okay.
It's called JJ Cool J.
Okay, let's hear it.
Trying to find a catchy
right.
title. Okay. Hi, my name is Johan. I'm kind of a dork, admiring an artist traveling at maximum warp, showcasing the energy of a young boy, enthralling even the likes of Leonard Nimoy, delivering what fans have been Chris pining for, ensuring that audiences will come back for more. His mastery of the mysterious matches David Lynch, as evident in Lost and his new series Fringe. Star Trek's got everything you'd want, you guys. Action, romance, and lots of reflecting lights. Even better, it's got heart and soul, entertaining and moving as it boldly goes. I'm having trouble finding words that rhyme with Abrams, JJ. I hope that's okay. It's enough for today. Good luck on the 8th of May is all I wanted to say.
Oh man, come on.
Thanks.
Come on, what's better than that? That was the best.
You haven't got a rap before from
the best interview. That was fantastic.
Cool.
Now, in fairness, that was really good. I can't live up to that. What I will tell you is what I would do when we were on the set. That was fantastic.
Cool, thanks.
You have to record that.
Yeah.
Fantastic. What I would do is it was a pretty big set usually, and instead of a bullhorn, I would have a microphone, and it was going through a PA. And what I found, which I was happy about, but the cast was not, is when I hit the top of the mic with my thumb, you know, the sort of foam, it was a great kick drum. It was like, you know, it was great. And when I hit the side of the mic with my finger, it was a great snare. It was like, so it was like, so all I would do all day is when I would, you know, have to call out, I would just play this beat. And every once in a while, I would do a little do some sound effects or do like a bass line. And then Chris Pine, usually, if there was another microphone around, he would get on and he would start doing like, you know, joke raps, you know, so that it ended up being a very annoying set for that reason. But I do love the idea of, you know, kind of playing the rhythm and stuff, despite the fact that I'm sure the crew was just annoyed to death.
Must have given you a great Tim score, I guess.
I always like, you know, keep things entertaining. I'm always trying to like sort of do things that keep me from getting bored. So that was really what it was.
Cool.
Husk selvfølgelig, at du kan læse endnu flere artikler og anmeldelser på hjemmesiden, som du også kan diskutere i vores omfattende online forum.